Well, I think that military actions have always been a part of the negotiations, and this is no exception. Uh, it is an indication, in my view, that both parties continue to need to show to their domestic audiences that they are negotiating from a position of strength. And that's why the proclivity to resort to force in order to demonstrate this strength. Obviously, hopefully, it will not break the larger ceasefire understanding. But if escalation of this nature continues and crosses a certain line, it could very well break down the ceasefire and the tentative agreement that is reportedly has been achieved. Well, I think the basic outline of what the agreement is dictated by the circumstances and the background of the conflict. On the one hand, the US obviously wants some commitment on the nuclear issue. At the same time, there is an urgency for reopening the Strait of Hormuz, which was open before the conflict and is a consequence of the conflict. So, from the US side, they are prepared to give some concessions to the Iranians on resources as a means of getting an agreement to open the strait, which is the most immediate objective for them, and to settle for some general commitment from the Iranians about the nuclear issue, together with an upfront payment of some resources to the Iranians and a promise of greater relief from sanctions, etc., as the negotiations on the nuclear issue progress. That's the outline, I think, of the deal. Both sides have had to make some concessions, but whatever the position is, has been dictated by the facts on the ground. Well, first of all, I think the nuclear situation, although it may seem to be similar, it has changed because today Iran is in possession of 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, which it was not before. It has got 10 tons of other uranium enriched to various levels, which has not been spoken of. So the challenge in these negotiations is larger than it was before in the JCPOA, where Iran had limited quantities of enriched uranium. I think it was up to 3% or 20%, somewhere in there, that range. So the challenge of the nuclear stockpile is larger this time than it was with JCPOA. Secondly, in the past agreement, Iran was allowed to continue enrichment up to 3.75%, I think. And at this time, Trump is insisting that Iran give up the right to the enrichment. Now, a compromise will have to be worked out. If Iran does indeed stop enrichment, in whatever shape or form that agreement is presented, that will be an advance for the US as compared to the JCPOA. So it is possible for Trump to present the agreement which will emerge, or with the outlines of which seem to be emerging, as a better agreement than the JCPOA, although many will question and doubt that, but it could be presented as something at least different and perhaps even more far-reaching than the JCPOA. So it's a question of how it's presented. The danger of Iran developing nuclear weapons, I think, is minimal. It was exaggerated by the Israelis and by the US that Iran had committed not to develop nuclear weapons, and I think that they had substantively taken steps to that end. They ended the sort of work or research on nuclear designs, etc., etc. And I think that was verified by the IAEA. So this will be a different agreement, and it could be presented as better than the JCPOA. Yes, I think probably came as a rude surprise to the Omanis to be threatened in that way. I don't think it was a well thought out comment. If Mr. Trump had known about the facts on the ground, which is basically that the Iranians approached Oman to do a joint administration of the Gulf, and the Omanis basically backed off and said that, well, we will have to coordinate this with other partners in the Gulf, and they pointed at Saudi Arabia and Qatar and so forth. So the Omanis were not about to play that role. They are very smart, very wise, and they know they, they were not intending to make any kind of joint administration of Hormuz with the Iran. So, I think the threat was gratuitous, and obviously leaves a bad feeling for any country to be threatened. But having said that, Trump is an uncertain guy. Never know which way he'll turn. So we should also be very circumspect in the way that we are interacting with the United States. We should be very careful. I think you know that as soon as the outline of the deal was reported and publicized in the media, Trump came under strong attack from the Israelis, from the Israeli lobby, from Israel's friends in Washington, and some of his own supporters in the Republican right wing. So I think this was a kind of idea that was inserted into his mind by some of these people to put up this kind of condition of accepting the Abraham Accords as a price for this agreement. I think it was completely misplaced and unacceptable to put this kind of last-minute condition. In any case, several of the parties addressed have already recognized Israel, so the matter of Abraham Accords doesn't arise. The others who are left out, among them Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Pakistan, etc., we are not about to recognize Israel. And in any case, the Saudis and the Qataris will say, we're not parties to this agreement. You brought us in, you want to talk to us, and you got our agreement. We're not dying for this agreement. You make the deal with the Iranians, and it's up to Iran, whatever they want to do. We'll support you. We'll support the agreement, but we don't ask us to pay a price for for supporting you. No, I mean, I think what he was trying, it's just a gambit to show to his own people that, I've achieved something. I am advancing not only our agenda, the US, but also advancing the Israeli agenda, because Israel is the loudest sort of dissenter from the deal that was outlined. So trying to neutralize the Israeli dissent, I don't think he'll succeed. And I don't think that if he insists on this, the whole thing will fall apart, because neither Saudi, no Qatar, no Pakistan, and certainly not Iran. They're not about to join any Abraham Accords as such. Yes, as I said, this agreement is between Iran and the United States. The question of being asked to accept the Abraham Accords, in order to conclude this agreement, it's for Pakistan, certainly it's a non-starter because we are not parties to the agreement. We've just been facilitating the agreement, and we should not be asked to pay a price for facilitating the agreement. We're helping the United States, we're helping the Iranians. We're not going to pay a price. We should not be asked to pay a price to help the United States. I mean, this is ridiculous in all dimensions. This is atypical of what to expect now from a U.S. administration, which has mood swings every few hours. Yeah, I think that's the vital issue right now that is holding up this agreement. It's the Israelis don't want to stop the war. Netanyahu doesn't want to stop the war. He wants to continue. The day that the war really stops, Netanyahu faces a court case inside his country. He might face elections in which his party might lose. So he doesn't want to stop the war. I think in Lebanon, he's provoking a breakdown of the agreement through attacks on Hezbollah, and yesterday they bombed Beirut. So flagrant violations of the kind of ceasefire that has been agreed upon, which is it has to be a composite ceasefire, which covers the whole region, including Lebanon. That's the understanding. And Netanyahu is trying to sabotage it in every which way he can in Lebanon, and lobbying in Washington through the Israeli lobby and friends, trying to sabotage the deal. And unfortunately, I think they will continue this, even if this tentative memorandum of understanding, even if this is concluded, negotiations on the nuclear issue and the sanctions issue start, Israel will continue its efforts to somehow sabotage the process with provocative actions, whether against Lebanon, against Iran, discrediting Pakistan's mediatory role, all of these efforts that Netanyahu is making to keep the war going. And it will be contingent on, whether Trump and the U.S. administration adhere to the Memorandum of Understanding, or whether they also play games by selectively violating the ceasefire and attacking Iranian vessels or Iranian sites on some pretext or the other. I must say that I fully understand the Iranian distrust of the Americans. And we, therefore, even as mediators, we have to be very careful that we don't get in the crosshairs of either side in this process. Yeah, obviously, there was some coordination in the sense that when the Iranians insisted that they will open Hormuz only if Lebanon is included in the ceasefire, Trump imposed a ceasefire on Netanyahu. And the ceasefire with Lebanon, with the Lebanese government, was agreed as a consequence. But Netanyahu has kept his options open, accepting the ceasefire because Trump wanted it, but nevertheless continuing violations of the ceasefire under the pretext of self-defense from Hezbollah attacks. And he has secured Trump's agreement that yes, Israel has the right to self-defense or respond to Hezbollah's attacks. So that leaves a large loophole, which could be exploited by the Israelis going forward to break down the ceasefire. and they will do provocations in Lebanon and God knows where else. They will continue these provocations in order to break down the agreement. This will continue, in my view. Well, I think that's a good question, and that's a question that you should address to the government and find out exactly how we have benefited. Obviously, reputationally, Pakistan is being seen in a very positive way. We have gained credibility in the international community. Even with our friends like China and Saudi Arabia, we have gained credibility as a apt and active mediator and facilitator. So that's all good. Um, exactly what kind of tangible benefits we will receive, I am not certain. That would be entirely up to us. If we want the US help, for example, to address our problems with India, then our diplomacy has to become active in that direction. If we want some help from China to resolve the Afghanistan issue. We want some help from Iran to resolve the Afghanistan issue. We should then have some plans for diplomatic approaches in order to activate those things. If we want to benefit from on economic and social development, then we need to activate our plans, present concrete proposals for expansion of investment, expansion of trade, and so forth to all, to the United States, to the Europeans, to China, to other parties, to Saudi Arabia, to say this is what we need. And we've been good guys, so you need to help us achieve these objectives. I'm not certain how far we have been thinking on along those lines. I'm sure there must be some thought going on as to how we can benefit from our role, and hopefully we'll have some tangible plans to do so.